Okay, so you want to give a synopsis of whatever the word is, Darby Mountains in Florida?
Yes. So I know a lot of guys they stress a lot about going into range school, which for good
As you
reason,
should be.
as you should be.
It's because
But
you give a shit.
exactly, and that's that's actually a good thing. Being a little bit worried even when you're planning a mission shows that you're thinking of contingencies and backups, right? And that's perfect to what I'm wanted to share is first and foremost, get through rap week. That's the one thing you can control. You can control your physical fitness going into range school. Once you get it through rap week, you're in the game. That's when it's like, all right, now let's go through it, see what you learn or what you know beforehand, and then learn through the RIs. Derby, I said it before. Derby to me is the hardest phase because people just need to get used to what's expected. I think one of the biggest things in range school is like you really got to read the room with your squad mates, your platoon, most importantly the RIs. So in Derby phase, it's the crawl phase. They expect um, extreme details on setting up an ambush, everything about the op board, and your time management. You like when you think of being a stickler with things, that's the Derby phase. They want honestly almost perfection, and for good reason because how range school is, they set you up for then the walk and the run phase, which is mountains in Florida. We transition to mountains, it'll still be the foundations that you learned in Derby, but they I won't say they relax a little bit, but you do a little bit more complex missions and they expect more from you to the point where like they want to hear like especially for op boards, they want to hear the important things and want you to use your mind a little bit more to think complex wise how to accomplish the mission. And what I mean by that, I know it sounded confusing, but Derby will be cutthroat, follow the steps and tasks. Mountains will be kind of the same in the process of the upward, but when you execute the mission through the terrain, they most importantly want you to get there on time, set up, and execute the mission. And then me personally, Florida was my favorite phase. Maybe it's because I did it twice. I don't know, but I actually enjoyed it because Florida is the run phase where um, you still hold those foundations of the op board brief, but the RIs kind of let you work. And what I mean by that is like not a lot of people talk about Florida because even when I went through range school, I didn't know what to expect in Florida. But every company does it differently. I actually worked in all three companies for a little bit. I was in Seco for a little bit, but long story short, the schedule is you wake up, you dig a foxhole, brief your mission, execute the mission. And what I like about Florida is, for the op board specifically, a lot of the gut things that a lot of people don't think it's important. Well, you still got to brief it, but really they focus on enemy sit temp and skew and maneuver. You know, they want to see you think like, all right, how is the enemy going to defend this one location? What would I do? Like, I mean, we're the U.S. Army. We're a pretty complex military force. What would you do if you only had 3 or 4 guys on an objective? Well, you might send out an LPO to spot U.S. forces from arriving and then make contingencies off that. So for enemy sit temp, they want to hear most probable course of action, most deadly course of action, and they want to make sense. I know for my example, the company op board talked about the enemy using drones. Well, I use drones to be the enemy's most dangerous course of action because if they spot us with drones, then they can probably fix our position through IDF and so on and so forth on that. For enemy or for scheme maneuver, you're going to conduct a lot of raids. It's probably the most complex mission you're going to do in all of range school. And when you're doing your scheme maneuver, it's important to, one, know your SDZs and make sure you avoid fratricide. Two, you want to make a plan that's adaptable. And what I mean by that is like, don't worry about setting up the perfect raid, but set up a raid where everybody can understand at the lowest level. Because in Florida, the whole point of the run phase is they like to throw wrenches and they like to screw up your plan. And what I mean by that is you will get to your ORP with 2 hours to spare. Kind of like in Derby and Mountains, you have 2 hours to set up your mission. Now, the RIs will condense your timeline to 30 minutes. And they just want to see you have the composure and have the discipline to set up your troops, and most importantly, delegate. Especially when you're in the higher up platoon leadership like PL and PSG, don't micromanage. You guys are there for a reason. Everybody can understand and do their own individual soldier tasks, and most importantly, your team leaders and squad leaders will back you up. So it's important when you're planning that your raid should almost be the same in every mission if you have a raid. It's just you put guys in different areas. It's still the same steps, like echelons of fire with certain IDFs and shooting off IDF before you reach your objective, then shooting off the 60s when you're setting up, and then your support by fire and your assault positions. You have the same not the same TRPs, but the same process of setting up your TRPs. But yeah, Florida's the most fun phase, in my opinion, because you get more freedom and you get to do the fun stuff that you signed up to do being a soldier.